Good. You been up to much this weekend?
Yeah, I guess still working on the grow on. So still working on getting everything in the ground, I guess. But yeah, no, it's going good. It's progress, which is the main thing.
Yeah, so I've got your oh, here we go. We've got our special guest. How are we doing, Lee? You all right?
Yeah, not too bad, mate.
How
Not
do we,
too bad.
mate?
Thank you for joining us on short notice. We thought to do a little bit of the first ever live podcast on this channel. So, what could go wrong?
Exactly.
How are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. I've been busy today. Just a load of little things around the house. You know what I mean? I mean, yeah. There's always 101 things to do on a Sunday for the average man, let alone anyone with a koi pond.
Yeah, I feel
Isn't it? It's true, isn't it?
Yeah,
There's always
it's like
something.
my garden looks absolutely tragic at this time of year. Like the aces are all dead. There's just weeds everywhere. It's like you've got to get out there and do it. Like looking after the koi is one thing, but like doing the gardening and everything else, that's another thing entirely in it. But yeah,
You're absolutely right.
it needs a pressure wash and everything else. But each time it's like you get one weekend and it's like, do I spend it with my lad or do I go out and do a load of gardening? And then I saw a koi jump in yesterday. Obviously moved a few fish around this week. Well, this week and put them in the main pond. And then one of my big girls has started like jumping out of the water. So I'm like, oh God. So I've been treating this weekend as well. So it's all spring fun and games in it.
It is.
Have you just raised the temperature of you?
Yeah, I've raised the temperature and then moved a few fish out of my grow on into the main pond. And I think as soon as you add any fish, even if they're clean, like I'd only just done a PP treatment in that grow on pond. And then having done that, then I've put them in main pond and still my big girls have like struggled with it. So it's just, yeah, I don't think you can avoid it. Even if you put a clean fish in, there's got to be other pathogens and stuff involved, even if you move.
I've been told that even if you put, I mean, listen, you could have a pond full of meter koi and you put anything in, a tosai or anything, and it just knocks the equilibrium, and the fish don't like it. They panic, they sulk, and all that kind of stuff. And I mean, yeah, it's yeah, the fish could be the cleanest fish in the world, but it's just the knock-on effect of the stress, isn't it?
Just upsets the balance.
You know, the absence of the normal. So it could be anything, basically.
Yeah, and it's like, yeah, I've likened it to when kids go, you put your kid in nursery, and you chuck them all in, they all get chicken pox, and then they're almost like immune from it later in life. But I don't know if the breeders necessarily mix like fish from other breeders. Obviously, like they don't want to be taking on. But I think if you buy Nisai from Japan, it's very unlikely that they've been exposed to other breeders' fish and all these other like not parasites, but like actual pathogens in the water. And I think Nisai struggle with that more. That's just my very brief experience in koi keeping. But equally, I look at it and think, if a Nisai's not been exposed to loads of other breeders' fish earlier on in its life, I think it struggles with it when it's later. I don't know if you guys have. You've obviously both had Nisai from Japan now. Do you experience that? Or
I think it's just more koi just don't like change. That they like everything to be the same consistency, and as soon as you go like changing that balance, like Lee was saying, they're just typical koi. They just start sulking for a couple of days. But
yeah,
I think koi are like the average professional footballer, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly.
You even change the team's socks and something's going to happen. Oh, we've all got athlete's foot now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're like athletes, so you got to look after them appropriately.
That's it.
So, anyone that's watching this, drop some questions in. By the way, we're going to do a bit of like we'll answer any questions that we do get, and the best of his ability. All of us here, obviously, Lee's going professional now, being a dealer, but I don't want to, like, even though it's a Q&A, we'll only share our experience. None of this is about preaching to you about how to keep koi best. Obviously, I'm still learning. We'll still learn. I think Lee would say he's still learning. You can't completely stop it, but
I think Peter Waddington was still learning. You know, it is. I don't think you can ever stop learning. And if you do,
no,
I
exactly.
mean, that's when you're going to get bit in the bum.
That's it.
It's a forever evolving hobby. Do you know what I mean? There's always
also, that's what's so interesting about it. I mean, I think the cycle of a koi keeper is, I mean, you start with a 500 gallon hole in the in your garden and come across a load of problems, and you learn from your mistakes, and then you figure out, oh, actually, yeah, filtration's the first one that you've got to sort out. And then you start asking questions, and then from then on in, it is literally a pilgrimage of learning, and that's it. It's you can never learn enough.
Yeah, that's it. I agree with that, mate. And even like I think Japanese are still learning. Some Japanese are like they're still kind of learning how to raise in concrete ponds. I think a lot of them are looking at how we do things. But got a couple of questions sent in before we went live, so we'll kick off with a couple of these, and feel free to just shout in what you're thinking. But one question that we had in from a friend of mine was growing tosai in like a quarantine system or a smaller system. Is it as simple as 25 degrees, heat, and throw loads of food at them, or is it there's more to it than that?
Go on with Lee. Do you want us to go first?
I think there is more to it than that. I think, if you've got to grow on, I mean, this is my limited experience, and also experience told to me by very experienced people. I mean, yeah, 24, 25 degrees. I mean, chucking food at them sounds like a good idea, but you've got to have the right filtration to be able to cope with that for a start. Yeah. You don't want to overfeed the fish, so you need to make sure they're just feeding in that 15-minute window every 2 hours, possibly. And another thing you've got to consider as well is a grow on. Yeah, okay, so the average person might go to, I know, their local koi shop and pick up half a dozen nice fish, an akamatsuba, a parachna, 6 of their favorite fish, put those in a quarantine pond and expect them to grow. I mean, they won't. They will, but they'll be very skittish. I mean, you need to get a shoal of them to get them to become a lot more. What's the word I'm looking for? I mean, there needs to be. They need to be relaxed, and they need to have that urge to feed, and they're only going to have that urge to feed if there's some form of competition in the pond. That's what I'm looking for. So I mean, I was told a few years ago that if you're getting let's just say I spend quite a lot of money on maybe 6 tosai that I want to grow ready for the shows, but then you should actually get maybe 12 or 24 cheaper fish to give them that environment to want to feed and want to grow, and give them that environment that they need, to push forward and compete for food and eat food. Yeah. Otherwise, you can chuck, if you've got 6 fish in there, you can chuck food in and they'll just be down the bottom corner, and they'll come up slowly and feed. But that's not what you want. You want them to start smashing the food, and every 2 hours, and give them that nice 10-15 minute window. And that's how you're going to get your best results growing fish.
I've never heard that take, but it makes sense. It does. Now, because obviously you do get better results with confidence.
And obviously, when we go down to the local park, you see 1 or 2 teenagers playing on the swings, and they're nice as pie. But as soon as you've got a dozen of them, turn into little shits, because they've got the confidence, and that's exactly what you want. Yeah. That's what you want. You want that pack confidence for feeding.
I mean, I'm glad tosai was specified, because I do think the approach to tosai and nisai and sanzai is slightly different. From my experience, I do think you can push tosai harder, and you potentially should be pushing them harder to sort of get the optimum results. And although I don't agree with 25. I don't know what your
it depends on the size of the pond and all that kind of stuff. Do you know what I mean? I mean, it obviously, I mean, my 700.
I mean, 25 degrees, the temperature.
Oh, no. I think that's too high. I mean, I only said 25 degrees because Joe came out with it, but I think that's too high. Yeah. I mean, 24 maximum, I mean, that's good for the growth, but for the quality, not so good. I mean, a little bit lower, between 20 and 24. I mean, slow and steady wins a race, I think, because I have seen
I was told by one of the main staff at Ogata that 24 is like what they do for most of their tosai. And I think that is like, if they say that, then there's got to be some form of like reason that is. But I do think that if you are at that temperature and you're pushing them really hard, you do risk belly fade, and you do risk a little bit more. I mean, some people will go up to 30. It's like Rick at New Forest. He has a polytunnel within a polytunnel, and he like opened the door on it, and the heat smacked me in the face. I'm like, bloody hell, they must be at 30 degrees. And he don't get much belly failure, so maybe I'm talking out my arse, but I do think that 24 for me is probably where I would sit at realistically.
I think Rick at New Forest maybe would prefer to stay at 23, but I know the boys from Exclusively and stuff, when the sun's coming down and on those polytunnels, they've not got the option or to chill like some of us. If we got like my inverter heat pump now is, I mean, when I bought it, I didn't know nothing about heat pumps. Do you know what? There's a funny story about the heat pump. I learned to build my ponds through watching Quality Nishinagoi, Tim. And after I built my first pond, I felt like I owed him something. So I actually bought the air source heat pump from Tim. And he suggested, oh, it's oversized, but get this one. And I'm super glad I did, mate, because that crystal air source heat pump I've got is really good. I mean, the flow switch sensors had a bit of failure once, but I mean, that's a common occurrence. But and I didn't realize how lucky I was to buy one that actually had the option to chill, which is essential really for the shows, you know.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah,
and you've heated through winter as well, aren't you, before, which is some pushing.
I mean, so that's why I was asking, you know, are you just raising the temperature now? I mean, my pond's really, really efficient, by the way. I mean, it's like really well insulated, very, very minimal pipe work, and it's all enclosed with polycarb. So there's a little bit of a draft that comes in and out on purpose, and it works really, really well. And it doesn't really cost the world to heat. And at the end of the day, I mean, it's my main hobby. I said, so, I mean, listen, heating my pond and feeding them sake probably costs a lot less than joining a good golf club.
Yeah. 100%.
So I mean, you know, so
it's
yes, I do push them.
When you look at like the cost of koi keeping, like genuinely, I must think it's like you could probably buy another property, or, you know, and rent it out and be like investing that money in somewhere else. Like the cost of it is just ridiculous when you get into, I mean, yeah, and then you've got the food on top of it. Like I think people look at just the electric bill and go, "Well, that's my cost for the year." But
yeah,
actually, like when you add the food on top, and then every year you'll have an air pump go or a water pump go, and then every 5 years replace the heater. It's a lot of money. But to many people out there, they might just be liner and a little pump inside. So got to consider that as well. But yeah, I think going back to the 24 degrees thing and the like creating a shoal of fish, do you think it's possible to just do grow one pond, say like 500-700 gallons or whatever, with only go sanke, or do you think that you need some single colors in there just to like tame them and to be more confident on the top of the water? I think it's better to have some like chagoi or karashi in there, personally.
I mean, ideally, I would prefer. I mean, listen, when I've gone up to Exclusively, we've seen the Kieran in with some Danichi Showa, and you'd think the Danichi Showa would power ahead, but they weren't. The Kieran were absolutely growing machines. So, I mean, when you've got then Go Sankey going in with single color, I think, I mean, I've seen it with my yellow monkeys. They run away. So, I mean, they're okay short time, but I think you need some way to possibly separate them eventually. But that's not to say if you had 24 amazing Gosanki from Kondo, that half of them will run away from the rest of the herd, because that happens. It's all genetics, isn't it? I mean, it's trial and error, isn't it, really? But that's what's great about koi. I love it.
100%. Yeah, it's an interesting one. I mean, I think whatever you do with the grow on, you should be estimating to get like a centimetre a week. Like that.
That's the going rate, isn't
it? Absolutely. I think it's the going rate on tosai nowadays. And so if you start in, you know, March time, September time, if you put them in at 20 cm, you want to be getting them out 45, you know, 45 and up really. And if you're not, then I think you're lacking behind. and it's all about, so saying like 500 gallon. I'm starting with way too many fish this year, and I think I'm going to have to thread them out as I go through the season, that's new for me because last year I just didn't touch them all year. Whereas I think this time, as they grow, I need to get rid of the ones that are not doing as well. So I think you've just got to be a little bit brutal if you're doing tosai growing as well. But Lee, you've done a lot of tosai growing this year. Any other things that you can think of? Any other tips, or is it just good food and heat?
I mean, it's again, there's a lot of people out there that's grown a lot more tosai than me, but I think in my personal experience, yeah, 24 degrees is good. Getting enough fish for them to compete for the food is good. Feeding regimes, I think we've heard it from Kentro at Sakai Fish Farm as well. I mean, like, do you know what I mean? He feeds every 2 hours or every 3 hours. It's very, very diligently measured out, weighed out. I mean, for the pond specifically that is going into. And also, I mean, I'm quite a big advocate. I mean, if I can, I actually do listen to people like that. So if I remember, I will come down Saturday after I finished work and turn the auto feeders off for 24 hours just to clear them out. I mean, and that happens 90% of the time. Also, one food, I mean, I'm not like sake kari, for instance, is pretty much what I feed. I have fed other stuff, and sometimes I do mix other stuff with it. But sake kari, I mean, you can't just feed one type of food. You have to mix it, I think. You know, like, for instance, I think my go-to mix for my tosai and my nisai it would be, what would it be? It would be about 70% growth floating. It would be about 25% then color floating, and then it would be 5% sinking. I mean, color or growth, wherever I can get my hands on. And that's my constant go-to. That's it, you know.
See, that's where we differ.
I
said that's where we differ with the growth and the balance.
Yeah, everyone's different. See, see, balance. I've heard a lot of really good stuff about balance, and I know there's lots of amazing hobbyists, and there's breeders in Japan that only feed balance. And like, I mean, I'm not going to knock it until I've actually tried it. I mean, to be honest, if you look at the protein value in the difference in growth and balance, it ain't all that. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's only a couple of digits in it realistically. And you go on.
Do you think that so the what I hear in Japan is that with sake kari growth versus balance is that they can just feed more of balance to them.
Yeah, so maybe it's not
that. But with growth, Lee, have you ever noticed that you've got to a point where they'll just like go on and the food will remain on the surface? Have you ever got to that point?
No. And I think the maximum I was feeding was about 1.5 kilos a day. Was it last year or the year before? I think it might have been last year at the height of it. And it was pathetically expensive at that point, but I was pushing the fish for maximum volume, and it was working.
And so long as the fish come out of it at the end of the year, and they have done that, 25 cm you're hoping they've done throughout the year, then the expense is worth it then, isn't it? Because even if you move them on second hand as a hobbyist, you're selling them for more than what you would if they were 20 centimeters. I'm not saying you're going to get all your money back on sake, but there is some like return on your investment there. But just last bit on this before we move on to some questions. I can see loads of questions in there, so thanks for that, guys.
I see that they're racking on.
Yeah, but do you think that would you use a different food for tosai that you would nisai, or are you just using the same?
I wouldn't personally. Maybe you'd get away with a lot more protein with tosai than I think nisai, sanzai, and above. But for the most part, I'd be pretty similar.
Same.
Yeah, I mean, pellet size. I mean, if it was easier to get my hands on 3 mil stuff, I would buy that. But I mean, that's quite hard to come by. I mean, Ryan and Kev order it. I do get my food from them. So I mean, they do order that size pellet. But I mean, they use quite a lot of it, so I can only manage to grab a sack every now and again. But ironically, I was talking to is it Jeroen, an amazing guy that used to own FD, but he sells all the FD food. You see him in the shows everywhere. Bald head glasses, mate. Really cool guy. Really, really super knowledgeable about food. It's unbelievable. And we were talking about stuff. I mean, some of the FD food is incredible as well. And he was also, this is interesting. So he actually said, we were talking about the Nutrimar stuff, and he goes, that food is really good to introduce to young tosai because of the fat content in it. So I mean, that's just coming from his mouth, and he is actually, that is his area of expertise. So I mean,
and he wouldn't talk good about a food if he didn't.
No, it's not benefiting him financially at all. But when he broke down all the ingredients, he goes, actually, this food would be best for tosai. Would it be better than sake? I don't know, but he said it would be best for tosai. But I mean.
So here we go. Let's get into one of these questions. So the first one, quite an interesting one. I hear a lot about Israeli and Polish koi. What are the main differences between them and Japanese koi? Who wants to start with that? Will, you've been to Poland. I suppose you're maybe best to talk about it.
A fair few years ago now, maybe 8 or 9 years ago, before I said YouTube even went to the farm. And in fairness, I have to give some credit where credit's due. There is very good fish on that farm. Not loads of them, but there is. You go through the fish houses and you go, oh, look at that one, look at that one. And there is very good fish on that farm. Will they produce numbers to compete with Japan? Probably not, do you know what I mean? But as far as their little niche market goes and the projects they're working on, really good. Do you know what I mean? Like there were some good fish there, so... I suppose Israeli is possibly a bit of a can of worms because of the controversy in the past of KHV and stuff like that, and there was a lot of negative sort of information impacting Israeli koi many years ago. I've never had Israeli koi. I can't comment on how they are to keep, or are these problems still prolific? I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not for me to assess, sort of thing. But yeah.
My take on it is that, like, I've seen a lot of nice, like, Polish koi. I mean, Yamabuki, some nice Achiba, Showa, some nice bits. Like they do see nice bits coming out of Poland, but the good ones hold the same cost as like the Japanese ones. So at that point, I'm kind of like, well, I think if you're going to be paying the same for a Japanese one, or you're going to be paying the same for Polish or Israeli one, you're going to go Japanese just because the bloodline is going to grow. That's my take on it, and that they're going to hold their value into older ages. But have you seen it? What about you, Lee? Seen any good examples from these other places? Or
I'll be blatantly honest with you. I mean, I'm a horse with blinkers on. I mean, we got the Polish koi there, and we got the Israeli koi there on the peripheries, and I only look ahead towards Japan. I mean, I don't know anything about Polish koi. I don't know anything about Israeli koi. They don't really interest me, so that's why I don't really know much about them. Have I seen any good ones? I can't remember. They don't really. I can't comment, so I can't remember.
Yeah.
However, I know there's probably another nation up and coming on the koi scene very soon, and we must have all seen the Chinese actually very, very interested, very totally different way of breeding and selling koi. Super clinical, like going to a Bupa center for a hip replacement. Do you know what I mean? And I mean, very impressive. Great bloodlines as well. I mean, they got GCs from the All Japan Koi Show going over there for Orogoi and all this kind of stuff. So I'm sure they're going to be doing some special stuff in the future. Would I be interested going there? I think maybe I probably would. I'll be honest with you. I think possibly I would. Has it got the same magic as Japan? Nah. I mean, unless you've got an old rusty bulldozer outside and electrical work that looks like it's done by a dodgy Bosnian, I mean, I'll stick to Japan. Japan's a bit more magical, isn't it?
The culture's there.
The culture's there, yeah.
That's
I mean, it's cool, but I
For
think
me,
they
it's-
are going to be up and coming.
Yeah, it's like you buy from that farmer that's farming in Japan, but you're buying his father's koi from his generation. And
Yeah,
you're buying his father's koi. Like, it's the generational aspect
Yeah,
of Japan and the
yeah.
heritage you're buying.
that's
And
right. Yeah, you're
it's like,
following the journey of that family as well. Yeah, really cool.
yeah, like I've seen the Chinese stuff, and absolutely, like, if they can produce the quality that looks like they're able to do,
Mm.
then, like, I think we're gonna be talking about it for a long time to come. However, from what I understand is that it's all changing at the minute whether or not Japan's going to keep allowing export to China. From what I
Yeah.
understand,
Yeah.
and that, because I think they're trying to, like, I mean, many countries now. Somebody told me, and I'll keep him anonymous. He probably won't want me saying, but he went to Interzoo, which is the biggest pet show where all the products go, like, for dogs and cats and fish and aquatics, marine, tropicals. They all exhibit their brands there. And basically, the Chinese government, from what I understand, will pay people to go to Interzoo and buy all these different products to bring it back to China to essentially just go, right, let's just do this and make it cheaper. And it's bizarre. And so a lot of these stands at Interzoo now, they've said no photography of anything that, because they're all exhibiting their brand new pieces of equipment they're going to sell for tropical marines, but they're worried about the Chinese buying them and taking them back, or taking pictures just to take it back. So, if my Sankey that I want is exactly the same, but in Japan it's 800 quid, but from China it's 150 quid, that's the break point. If it's the same price, then for me it's just going to be Japanese all the way, because of the heritage aspect.
I think for some people, yeah. I think for me, I don't think so. I mean, I want, I want my koi to come from Japan at the moment. That's not to say I'm not going to change, but at the moment, yeah. And mate, that was a really interesting thing you thought of there, because obviously we know the Shinkokai is the governing body of koi in Japan, but I wonder. I really actually, because you've actually hit the nail on the head there, and it's actually made me think about it. Obviously, in the last few years, China has been buying a lot of fish, and a lot of expensive fish. Now, all the dealers in Japan, right, have been raking it in, right?
Yeah.
Now, they're raking it in there and then, but I think that it might be their downfall in the future, because they're taking all the origami, and actually I think China has got the infrastructure to be able to produce more fish. They're superpower, aren't they? Do you know what I mean? They've got. I mean, when they do something,
the facilities are immense.
Unbelievable.
The videos
I mean, listen, they got 25 lane freeways, right? So I mean, it's crazy, right? Honestly. So I wonder, like you're saying, in the future, if they've had these talks in the Shinkokai and sort of gone, oh, right, we need to stop selling the best fish to Japan, to China now, because I think we're going to be in a world of, in 10 years time, because they're going to catch us up, and they've got all our best bloodlines.
From what I understand, again, like, I don't want to, like, shoot myself in the foot by saying something that's not true, but from what I've heard, there's a lot of Japanese breeders that are looking at these specific farms that are helping China a lot, like sending staff out there to help do auctions and to help with oyagoi, and the people that are still selling them to China. There's a lot of breeders that are kind of saying, what the hell are you doing? Like, and almost looking at these big farms that are helping and supporting China. And so there's, like, this internal politics, I think, with the Japanese breeders that are looking at these breeders that are helping and going, you are essentially robbing Peter to pay Paul, or whatever the term is. So I think it will change, and from what I understand, it is changing every year. But also, so say if Japan stops exporting to China, these farms in China that are currently there will just be selling to Chinese hobbyists because it's a massive market in China.
Over there, I would have thought so. Yeah, you know, obviously they're not. I know they're obviously totally different nations, but they're not 100 miles apart in their chain of thinking. You know, like they all probably consider koi to be like the national fish and all that kind of stuff. So I mean, we've all been to a Chinese restaurant and seen 1 million kois painted on the walls. So I mean, obviously, it's a huge hobby over there, I would say. Yeah.
And so if they stop importing from Japan, they're just going to end up, the Chinese koi will just take the place of selling to Chinese hobbyists. I can't see it any other way, but interesting.
And it's a monster buying power. I don't know if I've said this on the podcast before. We was in Japan a couple of years ago, me and Joe, and we were supposed to go to Matsue, and we was in Hiroshima. We was booked on Matsue, knew we was visiting, and now Matsue is not a small farm. It's a major farm in Japan. And we got a phone call that evening saying, you can still come to the farm and everything, but just to let you know, there's no fish available. So-and-so's just been and bought everything.
China, yeah.
It was a Chinese dealer. Just literally walked to the farm and just went, I'll take everything. Every Nisai, every Sanzai, everything that were available. That was October, November. I
mean, yeah, it sounds good. I've been to Matsue. It's an amazing place. I mean, yeah, it sounds good this year to do that. But imagine how many of his regular customers, the dealers from all around the world, and the agents and all that kind of stuff, how upset they would have been. You know what I mean? I mean, sometimes you got to be savvy and drip feed everyone, because you can't put all your baskets in one egg, which is one. You can't put all the eggs in one basket. Sorry, right? I mean, yeah, amazing, very good. But you've got to think to yourself, oh. He must have been offered some serious money there, because all of these koi farms, all of these koi farms, they know they literally can't breed as many koi as they can get. So I mean, like the koi hobby is catapulted in the last 5 years, isn't it? It's crazy all around the world. I mean, you've got America, which is buying serious amounts of koi, and all over Asia and stuff like that. And I mean, I think a couple of years ago, I don't know the politics of it, but Japan couldn't ship to China, could they? No. Now there's nothing to say that wouldn't happen again. For some, I don't know what the reason was. I don't know why, but
they could still ship to Hong Kong though. That's how it happened. So
to Hong Kong and then through.
Yeah, they were still shipping to Hong Kong.
Bizarre, but no doubt that it will be, like, from what I understand this year, there's been some internal whatever's going on with it.
There'll definitely be discussions, won't there? It's a topic.
Right, from one controversial subject to another. What is your preferred filter? Nexus style filter or a drum filter? Well, us three here are all on drums, aren't we? So.
Yeah, but the Nexus is magical. I mean, my favourite period of koi keeping was bubbling that 220. It's amazing. It's mesmerizing. You know, when you're really sad, right? You could bubble that bad boy, and in 15 minutes, the world's at peace again. I love it. I mean, you cannot make. It's a brilliant, brilliant filter. It really is an amazing filter. It's great. It takes a little bit of maintenance. I mean, you can get the auto kits now, can't you? Which is good. But I think they're great. I mean, drums are amazing as well. I'm lucky to have half a dozen drums here now, but like, I mean, they do still come with their problems. I mean, I get error codes because I'm still trying to, you know, smooth out all like the workings of everything. That's why everyone's like that. Why isn't there fish in your ponds yet? I mean, I'm sitting on them and I'm running them. I'm trying to get them to fault. So when I got fish in there, they won't fault. I mean, I'm doing it for the fish's welfare. I'm trying different levels, different heats. I'm ramping the heats, we're putting the heats down. I mean, if I have to test these for the next month for fish health and safety, I will. That's what I'll do. I mean, you know, you don't just put a car into production. I mean, you do the crash testing. You run it into the ground, don't you, to get those faults. So, but yeah, Nexuses and drums, there's a place in my heart for all of them.
Yeah.
Have you done your crash testing for your car on your K truck?
On my K truck.
Your remote control K truck.
Yeah, she is that. She's going well. She's going well.
Really cool, that. Yeah, I don't know. I just think if you again we go back to like a grow on now. So say if you started putting your koi through like a rigorous growing season, I don't know. I'm sure a Nexus would deal with it if you got up to feeding them 500, 700 grams a day or whatever. Like if you're pushing them really hard. But I guess it's just at that point, if you're bubbling a Nexus every single day, that's a lot of water you're going through as well. Like more than what a drum would go through. I suspect. I don't know. I've never ran one. I can't say my
Maybe,
piece on it. But
maybe. I don't know. I don't know if I've never had an auto kit because I wasn't that posh when I had my Nexus. But I don't know how much an auto kit would use. Does it use more or does it use less? I don't quite know. However, what you were going to say then, I was going to come back then saying I don't know if a Nexus can cope with the amount of food. Well, a drum doesn't cope with the amount of food, and a combi certainly wouldn't unless it's massively overfiltered. You have to build your moving bed. I mean, the drum will cope with as much solid waste as you go in there, but I think you were on about the actual
mechanical side of it.
mechanical, yeah. So I mean,
I don't know.
They're good.
Yeah.
And if you're not on a water mill, if you're not on a water meter, don't worry about it.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you've got lovely Welsh water coming out of your tap as well.
That's it. That's it. Yeah.
But no, what about you, Will? Because you're redoing your grow on tank as we speak. So what are you putting on there?
Yeah, so I'll be honest with you. There'll be a sieve on there, a bed and showers. Most of it will be showers. So showers have always been a preferred filter for me. I think once the showers mature, they're pretty bomb proof. But yeah, Nexuses are good. It's just the footprint for me. I just think they're so big, and there's other filters that can be so more efficient, especially when space is at a premium. Unless you don't care about space, but if I always think you're better off having a larger pond and just trying to be efficient with the filters. And it's same with like moving bed. Sorry, same with like multi bays. Multi bays work. They just got to be massive.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a good point. The only thing that I disliked about my Nexus was the footprint. I mean, not even the size. It's just because they're round, they're really awkward, and for some reason the inlets and the outlets are not even 90 degrees. They're like, it's absolutely mental, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? However, I mean, it would be obviously I know everything works on a kind of a vortex. Well, the center bit does. The easy is perfect. It works great for mechanical, but then you got the outer bubbling area. Now I wish they would have done the inside round for obvious reasons to make it work properly, but then make the outer chamber square because it would have fit into everyone's pump house way easier.
Yeah, 100%. And it's like the dead areas around it. But I suppose from an Evolution Aqua point of view, you could put like a Tempest in one of the little and something on the other side, or a UV down the other. But yeah, the circle aspect of it would take up a bigger footprint than my drum filter and probably my moving bed. So and I've got on my growing pond, I have the little Burton's combi, which is probably 1 meter and 20 wide and then maybe 80 width or something. So it takes up way less space than an Nexus, but they're way more expensive and there's a lot more to go wrong with them. And also saying that the people that have run Nexus, people who have visited, that run them, and if they run them to the recommended flow rates, because the other thing I think with the Nexus, you've got to try and do what Evolution Aqua tell you to do with the flow rates. Don't push them too fast. Don't run them too slow. I think both of them two things. But I've seen the people who have hit like the flow rates, the water clarity is unlike anything I've ever seen before. The water clarity is amazing. And I think from a biological point of view, it just seems to be way stronger than some of the moving bed ponds that I've seen. Like organically, I think you look at the water, and I think us three here, you can sense when you go to a koi keeper's pond who's got healthy, alive water and who's got sterile water. Two very different style ponds, I think. And I think every time I've seen a good Nexus pond, they've looked unreal. So that's the only thing I can say. I've never ran one, so I can't comment. And I'm sure it all depends on what you're trying to achieve as well. If you're not trying to grow your tosai 25 centimeters in a year, then perhaps the Nexus does what you need it to do. Difficult one to comment on. Right, let's have a look at the next question. This one's quite an interesting one. Should you purchase expensive koi as a first-time hobbyist?
Depends.
I'll start this one off. I was told, so I did what everybody did, and before my pond was built, I went around buying fish, which is the absolute opposite
Rookie
of what
mistake.
Lee's doing now. He's building his ponds first and then buying his fish, which is he's probably learned his lesson. I don't know.
I have.
I bought fish before I built my pond, and a good friend of mine, Malk, told me, "Oh, so you're setting up your suicide squad?" That's what he said. Because he said everybody always buys the first set of collection of fish is what they call the suicide squad, which again probably will get me cancelled for saying it, but a lot of people do. You don't know how to keep koi. You can't see the little intricacies of it, and so you're going to lose some of them that first collection.
You're going to make mistakes.
You're going to make mistakes. You're going to have a problem. I think try your best, of course, but be willing to say that you're not going to be devastated if you lose your investment on an expensive koi. That's my take on it.
I wouldn't focus more on expensive koi or wherever. You want to start learning. The best thing I would ever say is go and buy from the same place, from the same breeder, 10 of the same sort of fish, and learn. Watch how they grow, watch how they change. I mean, showas are really fun. Shiro are really fun. Sanki are really fun. Like these and so on. Asagi can be really interesting, and watch how they develop. And that's what that for me is the most exciting bit. Is buying tosai, maybe even nisai, and looking how they're going to be in 2 or 3 years' time. That's the interesting thing for me. That'd be my. I don't want to buy the show quality koi or wherever. You're learning, and like Joe said, you're going to make mistakes. You've got to learn development and learn bloodlines, and literally the best thing is to go and buy 5 or 6 of the same fish and just let them grow and just see what happens, and then you'll notice things and you'll pick up things. It's a time. There's no speed running with koi. It takes time.
Absolutely. What about you, Lee?
So, I mean, yeah, I think if you're buying koi for the first time, it's because you've just built your pond. So your first time, you're a novice. You're cutting your teeth. That pond is going to go through a thing called new pond syndrome. Even for someone who's really experienced, that is still a difficult thing to do. You know what I mean? Like, Ryan and Kev now just got that new polytunnel going. They've got the luxury of being able to take some of the mature media from different ponds. So theoretically, they're cutting out that, but they're still worried about it. I can guarantee you, right? And I would be worried about it. So when you're first new at it, you've got a brand new pond, and you're going to put fish in there. The fish that go in there, I mean, has probably not got a good chance to thrive. New pond, new koi keeper. I mean, I certainly wouldn't be going out buying Danichi £1,000 tosai. You know what I mean? And it's the same as the first koi that you buy should be something that you really like, and they should be really nice, and you should be really comfortable and happy with them. Now, you can buy really nice koi for £30 or £40 each when you go to any kind of shop. All right, they'll come from a nice console, maybe a nice console mix from Marahero or something like that. Buy you a nice 10 koi from there, going to cost you a few £100, and those koi are what's going to teach you, and they're also going to get your pond to establish itself. And then from there, guys, then you can smooth yourself into something a little bit more, unique, I would say. But I think, that your first group of fish is, you've got to be, listen, and do you know what, right? Probably there's 2 different ends of the koi hobby, isn't it? There's a koi hobby with the person that's got a budget, and then there's a koi hobby where someone lives in Chelsea and they're absolutely loaded and they've got 45 grand to build an amazing pond, but they've still got no idea how to keep fish. So those people that buy fish for their Chelsea pond will probably actually spend a bomb. And if they lose those, it's going to be the equivalent to the average man like us losing a £40 koi. So it's all relative. I mean, but I mean, it is difficult to cut your teeth into into a new pond.
I don't know what it is about koi keepers. I don't know whether or not enough of us in this hobby. I think all three of us here are probably like. I think you should set your challenge in the beginning to buy cheap and grow expensive. Like, do your research, and what Will said is actually very, very true. Is that there's certain varieties I think that you can buy very cheap and grow expensive. Like Shiro Utsuri, you can buy ones that have no sumi, no black coloration on at all. But then after a year of growing, come alive. Beko, another one. Hiotsuri. Showa can be transformed as well. But I think, when you're looking at Kahaku and Sankis and, some of the other variety, Goshki, very difficult to buy cheap and grow expensive. But the ones that develop big sumi patterns, you can generally buy them quite cheap. I mean, if you watch my recent video, I did a Hiotsuri that I got for 40 quid, which the dealer said he don't want me to shout out on my channel anymore for whatever reason. Sent me a message saying, don't shout me out anymore, so I won't. But I bought that 40 quid and it came out really, really good. So I was delighted with that. And so I think there's certain varieties to do it. And maybe perhaps in this country, we could be less inclined to look at what things are actually worth when you buy them, and perhaps look at what they could be in future.
Well, they definitely.
There's a lot of good fish
that's
available.
true. I mean, what do you class as an expensive fish? I don't think it's the money, the value of the fish is what it can achieve. Now, for instance, I mean, I've had a couple of baby champions, a couple of young champions, and an adult champion. And every one of those fish, bar one, has cost me £95. So you can buy a fish for £95 and you can grow it to be worth thousands of pounds.
Yeah.
I mean, so you don't have to buy expensive fish, I mean...
And it's the better way to do it round, right? If you buy cheap to begin with, and, instead of, I can see Lynn's put another comment in here, not buying £1,000 on two fish. I think perhaps instead of buying two fish, buy 10. That's what we're trying to say. Yeah. Because then the other, I don't want to. She's put another. Never wish I'd asked. Absolutely not like that. I think perhaps what we're saying is buy 10 and learn from them. You've got a year.
The value is in
the value is in the growing, in the learning as well, and the growing. And so after you've had them 10, perhaps the next year you'll see an expensive one. You know how that breeder does in your water, and then you go, right, I can see what that's going to do because I've learned from it this year. Yeah. And then perhaps make an informed decision. If you've been growing and raising fish for 10 years and you see some at 500 quid that you know is going to do well, then it's perhaps a good investment because you've had 20 odd other ones of them go wrong, so you know what to look for. Fading Benny, bad keyword, bad sachet, that kind of thing. So I wouldn't want to put you off doing it. Go spend your money on what you like. But equally, I think there's a lot to be learned from buying cheap.
It's like potentially you could spend £1,000 on two koi, or you could buy 10 fish at £100 each. But in 2 years' time, you've got two koi that are worth £500 plus each, and the rest were just lessons, and you can give them away, sell them, or do whatever you want with them. But there's a lot of value in that. Studying koi development, I think, is so important. There's a lot of value. I think
so as well. Yeah, it's really good.
There's a lot of value in it.
Yeah, and it's just the mistakes you can learn from is invaluable. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, nice to see a lot of comments. Over 100 people in tonight. So when I'm not used to doing this live stuff, so thanks for putting up with us. But if you like it, hit the like button. It'll help promote this a little bit out to people as well. But another question here from Davey. My pH is way too high. I can't get it lower than 8.95 in an evening. Massive water changes lower it for a short time. A couple of hours after, it's the same level again. Dave, this is a problem that I've had a lot with my pond, specifically because I also had pH up to 9, and it ruined a lot of my fish. The coloration went really, really wrong. And so I would check my pH out of the tap, and it was like 7.5. So I thought, right, put a load of water in, bring it down. But actually, what I realised was if I was putting in 7.5 water and my pH was going up, I was like, what the hell? Like, unless my maths is really bad, 7.5 is lower than 8.9. So I did exactly the same as you. What I'd recommend is just take a sample of your water, leave it overnight in a bucket, and test the pH after 24 hours. Because in my experience, I had water out my tap 7.5, but after 24 hours, I checked the pH, and the pH was over 9.2, I think it was, which is ridiculous. It's beyond the legal limit of them supplying it to you. But I think they had, speaking to Rick, he presumed that they'd been putting carbon dioxide in the water to artificially lower the pH out of the tap, which is totally wrong to do, but they do it. So perhaps try that. And the other thing is, if your pH is that high, your KH should be really high as well. So just perhaps stopping all your water changes altogether, and just the natural feeding should bring your KH down, which should essentially bring your pH down as well. Any of you guys got? I mean, Lee, you're in a very soft water area, so I'm guessing you've never had pH that high before.
No, I mean, I'm really, really soft here. 7.1 out of the tap, pH, and then 0.5 kH. Very similar actually to the mountains in the Gaffer. I've done loads of testing all around Aegea and stuff like that, and it's exactly the same. Obviously, I haven't got. It's not from the. I don't know. It could be from the mountains. I don't know. It's good water though. But the problem I've got is, I mean, I'm really stuck to 1 or 2 treatments. I can't use a lot of them because you need to raise your KH above 5. And if I was to do that, my pH goes to like 9.5. I mean, it's a joke. I mean, I've got to put like literally like 10 kilos of bicarb to get my pH up there. It's impossible. So, I mean, I've learned to use potassium PP for everything. I mean, the only thing I can't use it for is white spot. Touch wood, I've only had it once from a koi show where obviously the parameters are going up and down with the temperature, and that's the only time I've had to use a different product which didn't rely on a KH reading of above 5. So, yeah, I'm glad my water's like this though, because it's easy to raise the pH, but it's very difficult to lower it.
Yeah, the only other thing I could say is, and it's very like, I don't even know if I should recommend it on here. So like, absolutely, very big. Take a lot of precautions with it. If you really want to try and bring it down very slowly, is using white distilled vinegar. Is that will actually bring it down very slowly. But equally, I would just stop all water changes until you know if it's your tap water. He's saying his KH is 8 and his GH is 21. I think just stopping any water changes will help bring the KH down if you're feeding them a lot, and that will bring it down. The other thing is, you can't rainwater. It should be a lot lower than that. I've seen a lot of people say that taking rainwater from a water butt and adding that to the pond will bring it down as well. But white distilled vinegar in a last case scenario, I would do that, and I have done that before, and that did help a little bit. But the fish don't particularly like it when you're swinging the pH around all the time. But I know from 8.95 on an evening, they'll be gasping, flashing, jumping, and you'll be opening the doors parasites. So definitely try to bring it down somehow, but be very careful with it. Absolutely, very careful. Before I put my foot in my mouth anymore, I'll move on from that. What's the next question we got here? Here we go. What advice would you give to a local club in building membership and getting the name out to a local area?
This is a question I suppose quite close to me, because I owe a lot of credit to a koi club. So as a young lad getting into the koi hobby, I was very fortunate in club members taking an interest in me and the fact I was interested in koi, and I was able to go to pond visits and meetings and stuff like that, and no doubt possibly asked way too many questions at the time, but everybody having the time and willing to share those questions. And I think koi clubs should sort of take rather than trying to be like I don't know, commercial mindset is the wrong thing, but it needs to be a group of friends. Do you know what I mean? Like as a koi club, and it's a group of friends that can share ideas, that are passionate about a hobby, and it's a group of friends where I always think koi you can keep koi in a million different ways, and you can do a million different things, and everybody's got different experiences, and what works for one doesn't work for another. So if you have a problem and you've got a group of people like 15, 20, I mean, I think our koi club, which is the BKKS Yorks, well, now Great British Koi Club, for that reason, has like 70 something members, and obviously there's partners and again younger people involved with that. But like having a group of people that are competent koi keepers that you can turn to with problems and go, hi, this is what's happening, I'm having this problem. And yeah, you may get 10 different answers. But you look at that and you go, well, majority of them say this. And then you give what the majority is saying a go. And then you can find out what works and the results by having a majority opinion. And then obviously try different things. And obviously everything can be different. But I think having a club of a group of people with experience and that is so beneficial in the hobby, and it's something I owe a lot of credit to. And I think just having that mindset of a group of friends is the way to go, and it just takes time.
I agree with what you're saying. Well, I just think that I think koi clubs have got a really difficult job at the minute, because although we all want a thriving koi club in every area of the UK, and we all want these koi clubs to have little independent koi shows, which to me is the biggest part of a koi club, is the showing element and the committees that help put the shows together and the volunteers. But I also think that, say right now, what we're doing here tonight here is also, like, you could say this is a koi club and it's online and it's free, and people, like, we've just answered the question on KH, and I think people now can get information online and ask these type of questions. Whether or not they can visit ponds and everything else, that is something you can only do with a koi club. And part of me, selfishly, I'll say, like, anybody who buys my magazine, I have a little Facebook group where people could go in there and ask a question.
Yeah.
So it's very difficult for koi clubs now to separate themselves from online communities, and I think, go on.
I was just saying, but the joys of a local koi club is these are people in your area, local to you, potentially got similar tap waters we spoke about, and for instance, I know certain koi people are on holiday, they get a problem, and I might get a phone call. Somebody may get a phone call. So and so is watching my house. They say the drum's not working. Is there any chance you can just nip round and have a look? Yeah, the 5 minutes down the road. I mean, you finish work, go over there. This is what's happened. This is blah 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 blah. Right, your drum's working. Or worst case scenario, motor's gone. I'm going to bypass it. But like, it's such a. There's so many bonuses to it. There's so many little perks like that, and I think, and like you said with the pond visits, being able to go to as somebody's house as a group and sort of not pick apart the pond in a negative way, but just ask, how come that's like that? Why have you done that like that? What's the reason for that? And then obviously hearing their answers and their experience and the reason for doing it, it's so beneficial. I think it's something that takes time, and committee members are really important because they're the ones that bring the time in to arrange these pond visits and arrange different meetings and stuff like that. But I think as a whole, it's really good for the hobby.
What do you reckon, Lee?
I mean, it depends where you are in the country, I think. I mean, when I first started koi keeping, obviously I bit the bullet and I tried it on my own, and then I found out about a local koi club. I did join it, but I went off it pretty quick. I mean, it was very cliquey. There was a couple of older members there that were very awkward to get on with. I didn't feel very comfortable or welcome there. A few people that was nice I still talk to from the club, but the club's folded now anyway, which is probably the reason why it folded was because it was a little bit cold. And I mean, it was yeah, I mean, if you weren't over 60 and you haven't been keeping koi for 20 years with a settlement chambers, then you're. I don't. It wasn't nice. I didn't enjoy it. So
Fair
I mean,
enough.
I went to 1 or 2 meetings, went to the show once, didn't like it, so I left it, and then that's it.
Yeah.
But I'm sure, like a lot of other ones. I mean, I think there's another one in Wales. I think Wales and Bristol way, which I think would have been a lot better, but that's too far away from me. So I mean, yeah, at the moment down here, I don't think there is a koi club. So yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's I like I say, I think we should. I think koi clubs should be a thing, but equally there are a lot of ways now for people to get what they got from koi clubs, and I think there is a big gap in the market. I've said this for a while, where there should be an online koi club for everybody all around the country, and there should be events happening up and down the country. I've thought about doing it myself. I've thought about saying, right, like I'll organise a visit to Koi Water Bar, and I'll invite all my members of the magazine, and we'll all go down there, and then we'll all go round to Lee's Pond and go see Lee, and I'll get them all around William's place. And I've just thought, and then I could promote it online and bring everybody in. I've
But
thought about,
But do you know what? What you're thinking is actually happening. I think the best koi club at the moment is YouTube, because
yeah,
there's what you're saying actually happens. There is grown events in Koi Water Barn. There is grown events in different places. People do arrange meetings and stuff like that. So I think, yeah, I think the best club in the UK is probably YouTube, because you get to listen to amazing content from people who actually know a lot about what they're doing. Not me, by the way, but other channels.
yeah,
I mean, the Q&As on some of the channels is fantastic. I mean, the knowledge on some of the other channels is immense as well. And also, you got to understand that, I mean, everyone is at a different step on the ladder in the koi hobby. I can remember listening to some podcasts when I first started, and it was like, you may as well they may as well have been speaking Swahili, because I didn't know any of the terminology. I didn't know
yeah,
anything about anything, and I was more confused than anything else. I mean, when you're talking about Kiwa and Sashi and all this kind of stuff. I mean, I didn't know what Kiwa and Sashi was until someone explained it about 2 years after I started to listen to that thing. And
yeah,
there's a few people that do it. I mean, so I mean, and the good thing with YouTube is, no matter where you are in the hobby, there's normally someone a little bit senior than you that's not maybe on a Q&A or something like that, and you can actually learn from them. So I mean,
Yeah.
I think there's a pecking order. I mean, I think you go through an array of channels as you're growing, and you leapfrog them, and then I think that's the best way to do it.
Yeah.
But there's
yeah,
so much
absolutely.
now. There's so much now to watch on YouTube. I mean, I truly think that if someone who never kept koi before and they wanted to, I could literally give them a list of amazing channels, and just go and watch that, study that now for about 6 months, and then go and buy yourself whatever filtration system you think, and build the best pond
Yeah.
that would suit you, because they would be told everything: what to buy, how to build it, how to sort out the new pond syndrome. And most of these people are really approachable as well. You'll find them on Facebook and give them a message. All right,
Yeah.
mate,
Yeah,
I've seen this. And most people are really happy to help, because it is a nice community. I mean, there is 1 or 2 Karens, but like on average, it's a really nice community. People that
Yeah,
keep koi
definitely.
are genuinely, normally really nice people, apart
yeah.
from Joe.
And I know that I'm a big advocate for the Yorkshire section, who do the Great British Koi
Yeah,
Show, and they've now come away from the BKKS has folded, so
Yeah.
the Yorkshire section has broken away and become like a koi club for the whole of the UK now. It's not just the Yorkshire section, and
Yeah.
they have WhatsApp channels. And I know you guys are doing a growing show with, I think, again with Chris Masters, if I'm right.
Yeah. Yeah.
and then the club is coming together to buy a lot of fish from Chris. So then I think it's like a discounted grow and show that works well. You'll get together, announce the results over a barbecue. You go into Belgium, which we're doing next week. So perhaps there'll be a live stream next Sunday morning at Belgium Koi Show. That's the plan anyway. So you guys are actually traveling up and down the country doing the barbecues, growing shows, the Koi Show. So there is quite a lot for people to get involved with the Yorkshire, or the Great British Koi Club now, as it's called.
Yeah.
So there is opportunities out there for koi clubs. I don't deny that. I just think that to 90% of the hobbyists, they get this information online now, and the community is online, like Lee said. So
which I won't disagree
difficult
with.
One. Yeah. I think all the questions from the chat has been answered. Nice to see a lot of people in the chat. So thanks for everybody coming in. I've got one more question that was sent in previous, but if you've got any more, just put them in the chat. I don't know how long you guys have got tonight, so I shan't keep you too long. I've got one other question from previous. What are yours and Will's and Lee's tips for prepping your fish for koi shows? When to use colour food and when to start to clean up shiroji, and what you will find is best for that.
Lee?
Lee's
got some good credentials when it comes to shows.
Foods?
Yeah, so I think prepping for a koi show starts probably, honestly, the year before almost, except for like the smaller tosai, but okay, so leading up to a koi show, let's just say the Great British Koi Show. Okay, so that's in August, isn't it? Right. So let's just say that's the only show that I personally was going to do. And I think everyone preps their fish differently. And you learn by your mistakes. So personally now I would be powering my fish all the way through, and they'd be on that mix that I was just saying. So about 30% color and 70% growth. So I power the fish on. I'd obviously look at the fish, making sure that their body is, it's kind of like going to the gym, isn't it? Making sure they're not getting too overweight and all that kind of stuff. But I think it's nice to sort of like almost put as much volume as you can on. And even if they look slightly too big, you've got to understand the week before the show, you come off the feed. So they empty themselves out. So that will naturally slim them up a little bit. Okay. So then what do I do then? So I think then about a month out from the show, I'll come off the color. So then obviously we're working on the Siroji. So before this, we're working on the Benny. We're working on that. That takes a long time to bring up and intensify on colored foods. Okay. So then month out, I probably come off the color. So to keep to sort of try to purify the white as much as you can. But I also think, going back to these things, that when you buy a fish, I think one of the most important things to look at is the quality of the Siroji, because I think the Sirojis are super important when you're buying a fish, even more than Benny, because you can enhance Benny, you can manipulate it as a keeper with coloured foods, but the Siroji is very difficult. That is just that's pure genetics of the fish. That is, I mean, yeah, you can enhance it and you can go through the pure white, which is proper expensive. How well does it work? I don't know. But I think it's just better if you're buying a fish for a show, really pay a lot of attention to the Siroji, which is the white of the fish. Okay. Yeah. So then a month, 5 weeks out from the show, come off the coloured food, work on the Siroji. And then what I normally do then is a couple of weeks out from the show, I start to drop the temperature to about 18, 19 degrees, which naturally then will work on the sumi, and that will bring the sumi up actually reasonably quick sometimes. I mean, I don't suffer with sumi because, again, when I look for a fish for a show, there is a criteria. I kind of look for sumi quality as well. I mean, obviously, that is what you, I mean, the tricolors is what you'd look.
Ideally, don't you? But
you look for all of it. I mean, you always try to find a fish that has got those qualities before you have to try to enhance them. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay. And then obviously a week out from the show, come off the food, clear them out so they don't before you move them and you put them in the vat. You don't want poo floating around the vat and all that kind of stuff. But equally, when you come back from the show, I mean, almost the work starts there as well, because you can get a lot of issues because the vats are so small in volume, and the temperatures can vary so much from, if you're outdoors like the National, you know, through night and day. Koi don't really like that. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I mean, the National is an amazing show because it's outside. Normally, every time I come back from there, I normally almost assume that I'm going to get white spot, and I normally do, and quite a lot of exhibitors do as well. I mean, it's not their fault. That's just the natural thing of it, you know. But yeah, I mean, that's how I do it. Will, I don't know about you.
A little bit different. So I'd start with colour food fairly early on. I was once told some information that was supposedly come from Japan. Don't quote me on it, but apparently colour food is more beneficial in cooler temperatures because the koi are digesting it slower. They utilize it better, and they actually would benefit more from colour in the cooler temperatures. Don't quote me on it. It's just some information, and I've kind of used it as a rule. And I would like Lee says early on, start colour food and balance. All the way leading up to it, push them fairly hard, and then maybe 9 or 10 weeks before, start pulling the food back a little bit, and then on the 6th week, roughly, I would then move them on to Hikari Pure White, and I'd solely feed Pure White. Oh, wheat germ also works really well.
Will's Mr. Moneybags over here. Jesus Christ.
No. I'd only maybe use two or three bags at the most.
But that would be the problem to me though, because at that point I'm feeding 1.5 kilos a day.
Yeah. See, that's why I pull the food.
Money then on Pure White.
Definitely. No, definitely. That's why I start retracting the food fairly early on and lowering the quantity down for that reason.
You know, we did that podcast with Camille from Dubai.
Yes.
He knows how to raise fish, does Camille. And his collection is, I think it'd blow anybody's in England's socks off. Like, I think he'd win Grand Champion 3 times over with his collection, proper collection of koi. And I think he's really close friends with Kotaro from Sakai. He asked him, like, what do you do for Shiroji? He just says wheat germ.
Yeah, wheat germ is really good.
He's really good, and I think the Pure White do obviously a better job because they're saying that is the thing for white skin. Yeah. So don't get that wrong. But I think, as Lee said, lower temperatures, a real highly digestible, low protein, low fat food like wheat germ. Although you don't push them, like you don't want to be feeding them a kilogram a day on wheat germ because they would at that point, I think, start to get a belly. You can generally see any other foods on the market where wheat is the number one ingredient, even over fish meal, it tends to puff them out around the lower belly area. I've found that as well, and I know some more experienced people than me have said that. But I can say that feeding them wheat germ, the skin luster is unbelievable. So, or even maybe using 50% colour and like a growth food, but then 50% wheat germ just to like bring them down a bit a month before a show. But Lee, question for you: before you go to a national or Great British or whatever, when do you stop feeding? Do you play by the rules with that and say, right, stop feeding 2 weeks before? Or
not 2 weeks, no, 7 days before I'll stop.
7 days, yeah.
I do a week, to be fair.
A week, yeah.
Yeah.
We asked Edgy in Japan. He said 2 days.
Yeah,
that's what they did in Japan. Like 2 days before. Yeah. Yes. So
I guess in Japan they use wheat germ as well all year round. Which I remember the conversation we had, and he was like, "Oh, wheat germ is really good for digestion, even in small amounts, like 5%, all year round wheat germ, just just for the beneficial side of it."
I'm not a massive advocate for taking them off the food for 2 weeks. I know some people will say like 2 weeks.
It's not even taking the fish off the food for 2 weeks. Listen, when I take the fish off the food for a week before I go to the show, so I'll wake up super early on the Friday of the show, then super diligently I'm bricking myself I'll be netting and bagging the fish, because if they're going to split a fin or jump, it's then, and it will, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And then the first thing I do when that last fish comes out of the pond, the auto feeder straight back on, because I don't think about not feeding the fish. I'm thinking about the filters in my pond. I want those not to suffer, to get straight back on. So that's the first thing I do. Boom. Temperature straight up to 40 degrees, so 24 degrees. So it'll slowly rise up in the next 48 hours or whatever when I'm away, and straight back on the food. So when the fish come back from the show, I'll acclimate them and then just bring them up in temperature straight away, which is what I've always done.
Also, you've got to get on top of any potential water problems you could be having and parasites, because the last thing you want them is knocking themselves or being stressed or whatever, because you just you're hindering what you're doing for conditioning. So that the koi have got to be clean, and obviously water's got to be good, and then obviously then you can condition.
And the other thing as well is, I don't think we should pay too much attention to what the Japanese do in this particular circumstance, but they do use potassium before a koi show. If your fish are holding excess mucus, I have heard.
Yes. Okay.
I mean, I'm not going to be an advocate for using medications in that circumstance, but I have seen people do it.
Yeah, actually, to be blatantly honest, that's one step that I have forgot. Yeah, and that's a common thing that people actually do. A few days before, they will do a light PP. It's not a heavy PP dose. No. It's a light PP dose, just to get that. At the end of the day, you're taking your fish to a show, and it's going to be judged on skin quality. And I mean, listen, if you take your dog to Crufts, you're going to shampoo and brush its hair.
Yeah.
Which effectively is the same thing. I mean, it's a very common thing, and I would say probably nearly everyone would give it that treatment. Do you mean? But then you have got the added bonus of stripping a little bit of mucus off, which is giving it a little bit less protection. So like Will says, when you come back, you've got to make sure you're on top of your pond. And I would suggest, I mean, listen, everyone goes through little awkward periods of their pond where maybe something will happen and you're treating for flukes. And if you do treat for flukes, 9 times out of 10, it's a week before a show. I mean, I've always been lucky and never fell into that trap where I've had an issue before a show. But I think if I did have an issue before a show and I thought that my fish weren't healthy enough to attend the show, take them back and settle them in, I wouldn't take them to the show. I'd go to the show, leave my vat empty, and get on the piss and enjoy myself.
That's fair comment.
I mean, it's always fish safety is got to be paramount, really, isn't it?
100%, yeah. And no koi keeper on the planet wishes their fish to have a problem at a koi show. Like, I refuse. Like, a lot of people will say, "Oh, it's like what you do is cruel." It's I understand that point of view. I think when I started the industry, I'd have said, "I'm not going to do that," but then I did it one time. I'm not like an avid show person. I've not done it as many times as you two, absolutely. But I can say that if you do it right and you take the correct precautions, you can do it without much stress on a fish whatsoever. I've seen fish swimming around in a show vat looking like they've like it's a normal Tuesday afternoon for them. But then I've seen some fish that have gone in really, really poor condition, and it's almost like they're not healthy enough to be travelled, and that is where that person has just looked at the fish and gone, I'm pretty sure these might have flukes. Let's just take them anyway.
Yeah,
that is the wrong thing to do.
Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah,
and I've been benched a lot of fish as well. When you bench fish and measure them for the competition, and you put your hands in the vat and the bowl, I'm telling you, when you've done it for 300-400 fish, you can tell a keeper that knows what he's doing just by the feel of a fish, because some of them, the whole body will have no mucus on whatsoever. They're like sandpaper. And then some fish, you'll take your hands out of the water and you'll have mucus all over your hands, and you just think that is a healthy mucus layer on that fish. Yeah. So you can generally know when a koi keeper's doing what they should be correctly. And it doing certain steps, making the right precautions, speaking to people and doing the koi club thing and how do you do it, listening to these guys and how they're doing it. Do that. That's the best advice I can give you. But
and just to chime in, it's not like that. You put a lot of pressure on the water team because the water team, who obviously have got a vast amount of koi to look after, and it's quite important, especially people's, like you said, these could be expensive, and the people are very fond of some of these fish. So there can be a lot of pressure sometimes on the water team, and they're looking in a vat and you're going, why is these fish not happy? What's going wrong? What's wrong with that fish? Is it something I'm doing wrong? And it puts a hell of a lot of pressure on the weekend and for that individual. So for many reasons, it's best just to leave them at home. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
For many factors.
And it's there was somebody who came up to me at a show, and he said to me, like at the Great British, and he said, "This fish never travels well. Never. I've taken it 4 times. Never travels well. Last time it was just jumping all weekend." I just thought to myself, well,
don't take it.
Yeah.
Don't take it then. Do you
Yeah.
know?
So
I know that sometimes a fish can be temperamental, and maybe one time it had a bad experience, but 4 times in a row and saying, "Oh, last time it were doing this," don't take it then. I don't know. Everybody knows the fish, but before I go, how long do we have? Because we've got a couple. One more question coming.
I'm not on a time.
I'm fine, mate. I've just had my Sunday dinner. I'm fine.
That's it. Living the dream.
Right. We'll answer. There's literally one question, so if you want a question answering, we'll extend it. But get your questions in now. Don't be shy. Everybody seems to be shy. Would you be moving your showfish into a different pond, or are you feeding all your expensive fish for 2 months? Or are you feeding all your fish expensive food?
Yeah, I'm assuming it's food. Yeah.
So if you're changing it to Yataki white,
no, everything gets it. Even the
butterfly koi.
Yeah, the 20-year-old. Yeah, even the 20-year-old butterfly koi.
That might be the only butterfly koi that's ever tasted Saki pure white.
Yeah, it could be.
How much is that stuff now, Will?
Do you know what? I couldn't even tell you.
Because I think the last time I bought some from Crafty at Perfect Aquatics, not last year, the year before, because I thought to myself, "Oh yeah, this is going to help me." I mean, I probably didn't, but I think it was £150 for 5 kilo.
Yeah, it's only 5 kilos bags, but not that much.
Silver bag.
Yeah,
150 quid.
I buy it off of Chris, and is nice.
Yeah. I mean, imagine it. That was 150 quid every 3 days, pretty much.
Yeah, I won't be doing that.
No, I know.
I normally do probably a bag every 2 weeks. So I really cut the food down.
Yeah. I mean, definitely as well. If you've got multiple ponds, exactly that question would be awesome. I mean, listen, if I had this set up now with my 5 ponds or four ponds, I mean, it would be awesome to go right. Couple of months before the show, these are the ones I want to move them into their own environment. Mate, that would be awesome, wouldn't it? You know, I mean, 1 pond's expensive enough for the average sane person, you know. And then if you are slightly mental, you have a grow on as well. And then if you're absolutely a nut job, you make more. But
how many ponds have you got now, Lee?
Only 4, but I want another one. Well, I do need to make one outside, which is going to be ambient temperature. Do you know what I mean? But I'm going to do it. I'm going to do a nice bit of content with that. I'm going to make it on a budget on purpose. I mean, I want to do it like, you know, where Rick from New Forest Koi uses sort of like, is it like damp course membrane? I've got a spare pump. I know it's Noir's expensive one, but it is spare. I mean, I think I'm just going to run it on. I don't know. I do fancy doing sort of like a budget one. That's going to work really well, you know. So I don't.
It'd be nice to show your customers like a budget style pond, and also for your vlogs, it'd be quite
nice.
To
I mean,
see you do it on real cheap flexi hose and all sorts.
It'll be made of like, you know, timber frame and
it would be really fun to watch you do that. Actually.
I think I will do something like that just with what I've got here almost.
I think what Gary asks though in this question is really like poignant, because to me that's what's changed my perception on koi keeping now, is because it is so expensive for me to have this pond and to be heating and feeding the best foods and everything else. And I had reverse osmosis last year. All these different expenses. I actually look at some of my fish and go, you need to go now, because so if this is what it costs me every month, and it maybe is £300 or whatever, including your food and water going in and electricity. If it's £300 a month, then you divide that by 10. If I've got 10 fish in my main pond, each one of them fish I've got to be happy paying £30 a month to keep that koi, And so then I'm like, you are not worth £30 a month. You gotta go.
Yeah.
And my wife is struggling to understand that concept, because if you're not really into koi and you just become like with Will with his butterfly koi, but Will's a bit different.
Well,
Money
don't say
bags.
me. No, don't say me. That butterfly would have been gone ages ago if it were up to me.
But I think you do have to, if you're looking at it at like the koi keeping game, and if you look at it from a perception of you're trying to keep the best that you've got, you got to look at it like that. Unless you are, I'll pay £30 a month for you to stay because I really like this one fish, But
I look at it space as a premium. As we've said before, like buying koi is so fun, and you can't keep everything. So that's what it's not so much the budgeting for me. It's physically I need to make room in this pond, because I'm gonna have no space. Do you know what I mean? And koi grow, especially when you get to them optimal levels and you're pushing them and you're feeding.
Like, do you know what you're saying there is I think that was my demise from the show scene. Actually, buying koi is so much fun. These koi are all unique. What have I got here? For instance, now let's just say that koi there now, lovely free step from Condo, right? Gorgeous. Now that koi effectively has a fingerprint. That pattern will be remembered, right? So let's just say I bought that for £95 and I grew it and it won. Actually, I bought a koi very similar to that from Hoshikin for £95 from exclusively koi from a grow and show, and two or 3 years later it won adult champion in the National Koi Show. That's got a picture. It's immortalized on Liam's website and all this kind of stuff, and the Great British Koi Show, the National Koi Show website, right? Now, when that fish got to 70 cm, I'm not interested in it. I don't like large fish. So I'm not going to give that fish away. I'm going to sell that fish. Let's just say I sold that fish for $2.5 grand. At 70 cm, being the national adult champion, the National Koi Show, that's cheap for that koi. Wouldn't you agree? Right? Okay. Yeah. So theoretically, I've made a profit on that koi. Now that koi then goes to another show. Where'd you get that from? I bought it from Lee Hadfield. So then people then automatically think, oh, he's selling koi. Well, everyone sells koi. The only problem is when you're selling when you're moving good koi on and they're familiar and people recognize them time and time again, then it becomes a little bit awkward to kind of say, well, I'm not actually selling koi. I'm just offloading my koi. But unfortunately, they're good enough to show, so you recognize them. Because everyone always says, if Will brings an amazing Hiyatsuri to the koi show next year, because I know you're not doing it this year, right? I'll go, that's lovely. Where's that from? Oh, Shinoda. Where'd you get it from? And you might turn around and go, oh, I bought it from Paul Cunningham. Now, he's not a koi dealer, but he's actually made a bit of a profit from that. So it's very awkward where it stands, isn't it? Because we've had this debate, but it is awkward. I mean, but the thing is, it is fun buying koi. It is fun growing koi, and then you have to offload them. But you're not going to give them away if they're that valuable. Because that fish that I've grown will actually pay for the amount of sake is actually consumed for me to feed the other fish for the next 6 months.
That is if you look at it right, there's two hobbies for me. There's koi gardening, and then there's koi livestock koi. These two are like very, very different.
It is, yeah.
And I think William, you've got some fish in your pond that you could say one side, some side of the other, and that'll make up a majority of koi keepers. For me now, I'm starting to look at my koi as livestock.
Yeah.
And like a lot of people are just going to go, right, turn this bloody podcast off. What the hell's this guy on about?
Yeah.
And I get that, totally get it. But the way that I look at it and perceive it is, again, is that koi worth my electric bill? Is it going to get better? And
Yeah.
that is the brutal aspect of koi keeping.
I-
Because if I don't make space for it, like Lee said, I can't go out to my dealer and buy another fish and keep learning and keep progressing. And equally, I can't go out there every day and get excited about seeing the same fish all the time.
Do you know what the difference is, though? I mean, I know what you're saying. You consider you think of your fish of as livestock. I think you're wrong there. I think you think of your fish the same as I think of my fish. They're athletes and they're there to be shown. So they're not livestock because I care for them, right? And they're my whole pond environment. Listen, if I wanted a beautiful pond, I take all the roof and sides off, and then it would cost me a bomb to heat it, but it would look pretty, right?
Yeah.
There'd be like trees over it. But you know what, right? My pond water is pea green right now, and because I'm feeding athletes, I want them to gain mass. I want them to grow. I want them to look as good and perform as good as they can. So it's different, yeah, from a garden pond. Like my pond is a growing machine. It's a treadmill. That's all I want it to be, you know. And yeah, the difference is that I actually, ironically, don't offload all my bad koi. I actually offload most of my champions when they actually don't interest me because they've outgrown my interest. Like I'm really not interested in koi. I mean, once a koi hits 55, 65 cm, that's the journey over. That's my enjoyment. I love that phase, you know, from 12 cm finding them in Japan to growing them to 65 cm. Right, that's lovely. Do you like that? Yeah, I love that. There we are. You can have that then. I'll exchange that bit of money for a couple of bags of sake and then buy another one to try to grow another champion. I mean, that's my enjoyment. I love it.
It's like a project, isn't it? So you get these projects, you're working on the project, and then once the project's finished, you kind of shelf it, don't you? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's it. You know, and that's not to say someone else's project, and I know a lot of people, their projects start at 65 and they end at 85 or 100. I mean, yeah, you can have my old project. There we are. I'm not interested in that now, but it's going to do you really good. It's at the best start in life it can. It's a great quality show fish. Keep showing it. I want to see it year after year. So it's amazing. I love that.
My project this year is seeing whether or not, like the new forest koi, the ones that I selected, like some of them that I selected, honestly, like I felt like I should have been wearing like black and white striped t-shirts and a balaclava. I felt like I robbed Rick, genuinely. I've been to Japan, I think 5 times to Japan, and I've been over some pond selecting. And I'm telling you, that time at Rick's, when I was selecting out of that pond, was on par with any experience I've had in Japan. I'm not saying they're the best things since sliced bread and they're going to be grand champion fish, but selecting tosai, some of them were top quality, like genuinely. And it was the cream of the crop, and he's saying it's the best crop that he's had in a long time. I don't want to put words in my mouth, but I do look at it as I've got real lucky with them. So now it's my job, because Rick says a lot of his fish don't go to like these ponds where they're on drum filters or on heaters, they get in sake ikari. A lot of his fish go to more like garden style ponds because they're perceived as UK bred. That's just the perception he's got. Yeah. So I'm wondering, right, put them in a good environment. Can they live up to it now? Can I push them as hard? And if they come out with all deformities and everything else, I'll capture that. And Rick knows that I will. But equally, I am so excited for that. Like, more excited than I have been about a lot of other fish that I've had.
It's the unknown, isn't it?
And genuinely, the price was so good that I won't even be upset if they turn out bad or if one of them's good. The price was unbelievable. And he needs to start charging accordingly, because if he made more money on these, like what he should do, and I've told him that, if he made more money on him, then he could put more time and effort into that area of his business to appeal to more hobbyists like myself. And I know a lot of people out there, he does appeal to a lot of hobbyists, but he could appeal to more hobbyists on this kind of level. But yeah, so that's my experience this year that I'm looking forward to seeing how they get on. Right. Next question, unless you've got anything else to add on that.
No.
Next question. Do you add clays to the pond in the weeks leading up to the show?
So I'll have an interesting take on this one, and I'm interested to see what other people's opinions are on this. I don't think clay has an effect on skin from unless I've not used enough in it, which I feel like I've used a fair amount of it, especially in one season. I don't think the effects are on the skin. I think it affects confidence, and koi feed better in clay and due to the murky water, and I think that's where the benefits are.
Yeah.
For me. Well, that could be a controversial one, and people might know some science on it or whatever. But I know when I've added clay, I don't see any condition changes other than what I'm able to achieve with good food and good water. For me personally, you know what I mean.
What about you, Lee? Clays?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a massive fan of clay, mate. I mean, I haven't used it enough to comment if it's good for skin quality or not. What Will is saying is probably correct. They feel a lot safer in it. But then you put clay in, it's only going to be cloudy for 24 hours. Yeah. I think the main thing with clay, possibly it's good for the water because it's a natural coagulant, isn't it? So it's going to be flocking all of the all of the particles in the water, and then the drum's going to catch it better. But yeah. I mean, I've got clay up there, which I've had in a packet, half-open packet, for the last 3 years.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I don't know.
The only additive I'm using at the minute is the complete pond detox, and I have found that using that, the fish don't react very much to when I put it in. A lot of people online will say that they have different experience to that, but that's my experience when I add it. I don't, but I add it into my biochamber so that it gets aerated, and then it's kind of been what's the right term? It's been mixed into the water. So, and then it also goes through a pump after the biochamber, so it gets minced up by is it turbine in there or whatever?
Yeah,
and then so then it comes out propeller. So then it gets minced by that and fired back into the pond in like a very small cloud. Now, when I have done that with Koi Master's Advantage, it comes out like a big white puff of a cloud, and the fish go doolally. Like they think the world is going to end, and this white cloud is going to grab them and chuck them out of the pond. They're like, what the bloody hell is going on? And I've seen fish jump 3 foot in the air when I've added clay. And if it's stressing them to that extent, like I know that after that jumping effect, perhaps they'll probably settle down a little bit more and be like, okay.
It probably spooks them, doesn't it?
Yeah. Maybe if you do it every week, they'd get used to it because
that's right.
They get used to repetition and
routine. I did talk to someone who's quite knowledgeable before about clay. I was talking to him about it, and they said, I mean, the recommended dose on the package isn't necessarily. I mean, you don't necessarily have to do that. He suggested to me split the dose on the package over 4 days, so it stays in there more. It's less cloudy. You can see the fish. I mean, I don't know whether that makes a difference or not. I have tried it. Like I said, I'm not really into it. That complete pond detox though is really good. I think it's I'm adding that once a week now, literally, to my ponds because I want to see how good it is, and it's working really well. Fish are really reacting positive to it, and no side effects, but plenty of pros, from it. And I'm also using it to prep all the water in the new establishment here. Because it takes everything out, nasties, chlorines, metals. It's pretty good stuff. And it's also a really, really good safety net. Like I said before, if you come back and your drums failed or something like that, you haven't noticed, and you've got massive ammonia spikes and all that kind of stuff, put that in and the fish are absolutely on cloud 9 pretty much instantly because it sanitizes everything straight away. The only thing you have to be clear, you have to be confident that episode that you need to add that treatment in for, that you don't need to put another treatment in because it'll just strip any treatment that you put in for 72 hours. So I mean, I mean, if you come home and you pan it and you put that in, and then you scrape a fish and you realise, oh no, I've got to do a PP and then whatever fluke S, you can't do it for 72 hours. So yeah. But apart from that, I mean that's not really even a bad thing. I mean, you know, you should be actually thinking a little bit more about what you're doing before you actually jump to it anyway. So as long as you know that.
I have just noticed one of the comments, someone's mentioned fog. Now, that is the one clay I've had so much positive information said about, especially in Japan. And it is a clay that I have used before shows, but I've just never... I suppose I really should take photos or videos, but I've never seen the difference. I've never added fog for a few weeks before a show and then gone, whoa, that's a secret ingredient.
The information I had about... Sorry, Will, to cut before I forget, is... Chris Masters tells me that in Japan, the guy who makes fog is called Dr. Fish or something, or Dr. Koi. And supposedly, fog was used as a medicinal clay to bring fish around after being in a mud pond. So they'd add it to the water after the mud pond, and it'd like rejuvenate the skin, which I think, from what I understand, is sake calorie balance R. Everyone asks, what's the R on balance R? It's recovery, is from what I understand, and it's good for bringing them around after mud pond experience, or treatment, or spring, that kind of stuff. So there's obviously there's a reason that they'd use it in Japan, and I have seen that in Japan they do have water additives. I know Eiji in Japan at Marichiku uses it, but what they have over there is not what we have over here. I have seen koi farms using it, but never on big, even Nisai. I don't think I'd say that I've ever seen it used on Nisai, and I've never seen fok used in that way that I've just mentioned either. That's just what I've heard. I've never seen it actually used after a mud pond. It's just what I've heard, and I'm seeking clarification as if that's true. It's what Chris Masters has told me. So we'll see. But I've used a lot of glaze. I can say that the skin always seems to look pretty good, but I also think that I've used glaze, like last year on my ground pond. I used a bit of clay, but I never used it thoroughly, and I can't say that it made a massive difference. The other thing as well is, I think Mike Snaden wrote an article a long time about reverse osmosis and why he thinks having a lower TDS and a stable TDS. So we're not talking about KHPH, we're just talking about TDS only, total dissolved solids in your water. Is when you add clays, all of a sudden the total dissolved solids goes like through the roof for us for quite a long time, and it comes right back down. I think imagine that all of a sudden you've got clean air and you're breathing clean air, and then all of a sudden the air gets really like congested. Whether or not the fish can enjoy that kind of topsy-turvy environment with it coming and going, and when you've got a drum filter, it strips the clay out so fast that I wonder if it can even be in the water long enough to have an effect. Whereas if you had a multi-bait and it was coming out slowly because it's only brushes catching it and settlement, then perhaps the clay can stay in the water longer and have a better effect. So I think our experience is probably not everybody's experience. But yeah, that's my 2 pence on it.
What is your TDS, guys, out of curiosity? Not that I don't really pay much attention to it. The only time I ever look at my TDS on my Blue Lab Guardian is, I mean, when I put salt in, I can kind of gauge how much salt is still in there roughly by it coming down slowly. Do you know what I mean? Because obviously it registers salt. But I've got nothing. I haven't put salt in for about 18 months now in my ponds. So I've got a true TDS reading. But I'm just wondering what yours are around the country there.
The tap, mine was as high as I think 400. But then in my pond, I keep it around 150 or something is what it kind of sits at.
I've got a Blue Light Guardian, although I'll be honest with you, I fall way behind on calibrating. I should calibrate way more and clean it more than I do. But I'm probably around 200, I think.
But the TDS here is, mate, it's between 20 and 40 in my pond.
Mad.
That's mad, isn't it?
That is Japan level
Yeah, between
TDS,
20
yeah.
and 40. Sometimes it doesn't even register it. Sometimes there's 0 sometimes in the day,
Well,
like, do you know what I mean?
Mm,
I mean, but
yeah.
what does that TDS? I don't even. I've been told by people who taught me how to keep koi. I mean, don't worry about that. It's not applicable. I mean, don't worry about it. But so I don't even, because I don't really worry about it. I don't even
yeah.
understand what does it register.
It's registering total dissolved solids in your water, so it can be anything.
Particulates,
It
isn't
could
it?
be metals, it could be organics, it could be the amount you're feeding, it could be,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it could be anything. But equally, I think you can have really high TDS, but if it's a healthy, what is in your TDS is healthy,
Yeah. It's
then
just,
it doesn't make a difference. It's like
Yeah.
right now, your TDS might be higher. Is it higher now that you've got green water, Lee? Or is it the
Me?
same? Yeah,
No,
yeah, yeah.
it's on 40 right now.
Yeah, so I mean, it's like even if you were really feeding heavy and it went up to like 60, 70, 80, 100, I don't think that would be a bad thing.
No, maybe
But
not.
if it were coming out your tap at 400, then you've got to wonder what is in it.
What is it?
And
Yeah.
what is it that's in there? So I think yeah, I wouldn't
I think
have a TDS meter.
Yeah.
But equally, I think it is so long as you know what's making up your pond, if you know what I mean. Yeah.
I think with koi, it's just stability. I think no matter what your parameters are, as long as they're within a region of where koi are comfortable, keeping them stable is more important than what they actually are. I
Yeah.
think.
I think the only thing that you struggle keeping stable is the pH. I mean, you can.
Yeah.
Someone came to pick up a fish that I grew a fish on for him from one of the auctions, and he says, "Oh, if I buy it, will you grow it on?" I said, "Chuck me a bag of sake. I'll look after it for 9 months or 6 months, whatever it was." Right. So he came to pick it up the other day, and he's going, "Oh, your fish are flicking." I said, "Yeah." I said, "Mate, it's 6 o'clock now." I said, "They will." They'll for every day at 6 o'clock because the pH drops by 0.1. I know my water, my pond so well. When I'm saying this, I'm actually literal. I can't remember the last time I done a dropper test. I literally
Yeah.
can't remember. I just look at the parameters. As long as I'm at 24 degrees and I can see my pH and then how my fish are behaving, I know there's no issue. No issue whatsoever.
Yeah, but I only test for KH, and in fairness, I was saying I don't dictate parameters to a degree. I do with pH, so I will dictate my KH on my pH. So I like to keep my pH around the 7.2, 7.4, and obviously using KH to dictate that. And because when I'm heavy feeding, even with a trickle, that KH will deplete to a point where I'm obviously adding bicarb fairly regularly, and that's the only. Yeah, that's the only parameter I check is KH.
Literally, but I know that when my pH is 7.2 to 7, I know I've got maybe 0.5 to 0.2 kH. And I know that sounds mad because I'm on a knife edge, but as soon as that gets to 6.9, I know I've got to put a mug of bicarb in there. And with my cockle shells now, I only have to do that once a week.
Yeah.
Depending on how much I'm feeding.
So you still put some in. It's just it's reduced the amount that you put.
Yeah. So after I put the cockle shells in, so when I was feeding heavily, I'd have to put at least a mug or maybe 2 in a day of bicarb every single day. But since I put those cockle shells in, it's only once a week now. It seems to just hold it a little bit more, you know.
Yeah.
Sort of like a lot better.
Right. Probably we've got like 12 minutes left. So if you've got a question, now's your time to add it. Because I think we've got this one, and then we'll call it when it's been 2 hours. 2 hours of us three is probably enough for anybody. But we'd go all night if we didn't set a time. This question from Aragoki Koi: how can we get more people into the hobby so we can get the second-hand market moving again? I think the second-hand market is a lot of fish being sold. I don't necessarily know if there's an issue moving on koi second-hand. How we can get more people into the hobby though? What are you guys saying with that?
Well, things like this, I think
Yeah.
YouTube is a massive eye opener. Like, you know, positive advocates for the hobby, trying to make the hobby appeal. getting more. Listen, right? So my missus makes a living on social media. All right. So over TikTok and Instagram, she's got over 1 million subscribers. Okay. When she comes down to do a pond update, those videos have 1 million views.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's bonkers, isn't it? But that's the way. I mean, I get so many people messaging me from her media platforms asking me, oh, what filters? I mean, I get loads. I mean, listen, I'm doing my bit to try to get more people into the hobby.
Yeah.
It just takes people like you guys and everyone else to spread the good word of it, and that's it. I mean, that's it. They just need to be exposed to it positively, and that's the way to do it. And also things like, I don't know, doing merch, like young kind of merch and stuff like that to get the younger generation in or other people in. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not saying make Saki Akari bags look like vape bottles, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But
so I did the Scotland show last year, and the Scotland show decided to go within a gardening show, which was much bigger. So I think usually the Scotland show would get like 200 people maximum. I think it's quite a small show. But then last year they decided, right, let's put a little stand within a gardening show that's due 15,000 people. And I was there all weekend pretty much. And the number one thing that I heard was, I've never seen fish that big. Never.
Yeah.
I didn't know they could grow that
just
big.
the exposure.
The exposure. And I just thought to myself, there were no dealer there that day, besides one guy who'd put up one of them log ponds from CWD, from Carl, and he put some fish in it to sell. But it was nothing like mental. It wasn't a stand or anything. It was just one guy. And I just thought to myself, I wonder how many gardening shows there are up and down the country that don't have like a dedicated koi dealer there. And it just got me thinking, if I was a dealer, like genuinely, if I was a dealer, I'd perhaps get myself to one of them gardening shows, put up a couple of vats, a nice big banner of some ponds that's been built, or some example what it could look like, in your pond, in your garden or whatever. And I wonder how many people had just come away from there. They might not buy it that day, but 5 years down the line, they might just go, oh, that space in gardening would be quite cool to have like a EZ pond or something.
Yeah. Do you know what as well? I'll tell you another thing which would be a massive help. And I've mentioned this to you before, Joe. Now you run a really lovely physical magazine, okay? If that magazine somehow could find itself onto the shelves in WH Smith, that would make a massive impact. If there's no koi magazines available on any high street shop.
There used to be.
There used to be.
There used to be.
When the hobby was bigger. But it's not going to get bigger if we can't get exposure. I mean, look how many carp fishing magazines there is. I can't even remember. There's loads. I mean, mate, there's magazines for everything. Airfix, for God's sake. Well, I'm not slagging that off because I love it. But I mean, there's a magazine for anything, mate. Cross stitch world. But there's nothing for koi. I mean, that falls on your shoulders and the people that's watching. If the people that are watching haven't subscribed to your magazine, to actually bolster the magazine, to give you the financial push. Oh, look at that. That's beautiful. Ooh. The financial push to be able to get this into the mainstream. I mean, I think that's a big thing. That would really help, I think.
Yeah, I think that I was really conscious with this magazine to try and produce something that like would appeal to people our age, like us three here, and to try and it's different. It's it's got something like modern about it. And I think that a lot of the magazines that there's obviously like I used to get Koi Talk, I used to get Liam's magazine, and they both were really good publications and appeal to people of our age. I'm not saying that they don't, but I really wanted to try and do something that would appeal to like the new generation of koi keepers and to a younger audience, and something that would be a bit cool to be involved with. And I wanted it to be quite impactful, with like the double page spreads. Like for me, it's like it's massive to have double pages that'll just grab you out of the
Actually,
book.
I just thought of something else that would be really cool in there. I can remember when I was a kid, I used to love skateboarding. I used to love getting Thrasher magazine, Skateboard magazine, all that kind of stuff. And my main thing that I used to love in those 90 magazines is, this is a good one, Joe. We haven't talked about this behind the scenes, so this is fresh out of Tafaguchi's brain. The center page, you could take it out and open it up to a 4-page poster. You could, couldn't you? Tony Hawk's and all that kind of stuff. I reckon that would be really nice. So that's something maybe for the issue after this one, because I know the second issue is done. So
I've been speaking about some like an inclusion inside the envelope that's not the magazine, and I've been speaking about something that's really outside the box that's going to go in there. So that's
Satyakari White.
Yeah, William's done it in a bag. Yeah, no, he's not. No, before people get annoyed when it doesn't arrive.
Another thing I'd like to talk about just before we finish is the Digital Koi Show. I loved it last year. So what's going on with that?
Yeah, so essentially all my readership, they get free entry into the Digital Koi Show. Got the same judges, so we've got Eiji from Marachiku and Shigeyoshi from Maraju. So the same two. Plus this year we've got Manabu. Last year there was a bit of confusion. He didn't really understand what it was, but then he really wanted to be a part after he'd seen what it was this year. So he's judging this year. All the entries are open now. If you subscribe to the mag, you should have got a link sent. If you're not a subscriber to the mag, you want to be involved, you can do, and it's just a small charge for entering essentially, and you can get a ticket on the website now. But we're going to do Plaques, a live stream in December this year, so you can enter any time in the year. Look at that.
And it's not a driving wheel. Look at that, guys. Now then, you could be the proud owner of one of these. This is waiting to go up.
But I was really impressed with the number of entries we had last year. We had over 400 entries, which had just put it slightly behind the National Koi Show. But from what I understand, it makes it the biggest online koi show, even beating what they have in Japan. And this year, we're going to have an international section of it. So if you've got Azakari in Japan, or if you live in the USA, or if you live in France, you can enter. There'll just be a Grand Champion, a Grand Champion B for Gosanki, non-Gosanki. And then there will also be a Tatigoi award for like if you've got Azakari in Japan, it'll generally be a younger fish or a Nisai that's got improvements in it. So there'll be a Tatigoi award or potential award. So 3 awards for international, and then we'll run a UK-wide competition as what we did last year. So that's all going ahead. There'll be some more promotion coming out.
Can dealers show, Joe? Or is there a dealer?
No dealer section, no. I want dealers to be involved with it. I want dealers to like message the customers and be like, you've got to enter this fish. And to be fair, the 2 dealers last year that really got behind it were exclusively in Shosha. Like the 2 people who had the most entries, it was exclusively in Shosha, really close, and there was a big drop down to 3rd place with dealers. So I want to see a bit more competition from the dealers getting involved with. I want to promote the hobby and promote what amazing koi we have in this country. And what better place to get your fish judged by other than a Japanese judge. So
and obviously going on with that little conversation we had about people worried about showing. Perfect. All you've got to do is bowl it up, guys. Nice quality picture, nice quality video. And that could be the start of a thriving new lust to go to shows the year after.
That's it.
Yeah, I can see Brendan in the comments who had the Black Zuzu one, and
Brendan
never shown. He's on his wife's YouTube account. I can see.
Actually, I want to say hello to Brendan. Sorry, Joe. Sorry, Brendan messaged me on WhatsApp when he was in Dubai, videoing all the bloody rockets coming over, going, bloody hell, Lee, we need you here, mate. I was like that, yeah. I said, keep your head down, mate. Maybe you shouldn't be videoing those and get yourself underground somewhere.
Oh, bless him. But yeah, I don't think Brendan would have ever shown, but the Digital Koi Show was his thing. And then got a comment here from Dan Adams, which is a really nice segue. So as part of the magazine, if you've read issue 1, you'll know that we're doing Pond Products of the Year awards. So all of my readership has been sent a link to vote on their favourite koi food of the year and rating it on different categories. So fish response, water clarity, what was the other one? Cost and range. They were the 4 main criteria. So I think in all, I got over 500 reviews of different foods and then culminated it into one average score rating across those 4 categories. And then there's a leaderboard of in the magazine what people have voted, and then I've put comments against each food that has been left. And I think the results will shock a few people. I think the top 3 people will expect who the top 3 are going to be, but there's some really shocking results in there. Not shocking in a bad way, but perhaps some foods that have performed better than what people would expect, and some foods that haven't performed as what they'd expect. But from 500 reviews, that's a really good consensus of what people will what they actually believe. And so that's gone out. That's going to get printed after the 22nd of April. So if you want to sign up, you still can to the next magazine, and you'll get it delivered through your letterbox. And the results will be completely exclusive in the mag, so you have to get the mag to read that. And then next month, I think we're going to do Health Product of the Year. So that will include, things like treatments, parasite treatments, what are actually working for people, detoxes, clays, all that kind of jazz. The bacteria PSB, that kind of stuff, that'll all be included, so people can vote again what actually works.
Yeah, I really like the PSB.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, but then someone else might say I've used it and didn't get any results. So it's like a Which Best Buy Awards, but actually voted for by hobbyists. That's the way I see it, and I thought it was a little gap, and people seem to enjoy voting on it. So big thanks to everyone who has, and that'll be again 22nd of April. That's cut off for the next mag, and loads of other bits in there, including Lee's changing the artwork for us every month. So yeah, we can't tell you what it is, and I've got a new envelope design as well, which is really cool. I think people will enjoy that. And then also Lee's also designed us something down the spine, so when you put all the magazines together, it'll reveal a design down the spine. So I'll have to get some binders printed up so people have somewhere to put the magazines in. But
I think that's in the pipeline, isn't it? Binders.
Yeah. I've had some samples sent to me, which are almost like leather backed, like black leather, but with like gold inscribing on the logos on the outside. So I mean, it's right up Lee's street.
Very classy.
Yeah.
It'll match my crocodile shoes.
But yeah, if you're interested in a magazine, the link is in the description down below. You can use Lee's code, which is Koi Soldier, all one word. I think it'll knock you like 10% off if you've not already subscribed. But I've enjoyed that. We just ticked over 2 hours, so we'll call it there. If you have enjoyed that, if you want more live content from us, because I've never done this before, let me know in the comments, and I think we'll see you next Sunday at the Belgian Koi Show, won't we, Will?
Yeah, we'll be there.
So that'll be good fun.
Definitely.
Yeah. Thanks, Lee, for joining us, and thanks, William, for joining us as always.
No problem.
And we'll see you next week.
See you later, guys.
Cheers.